Hi, and welcome back to my channel For the Love of People. Thank you for joining us here. And today we have another amazing special guest, one of my favourite people I probably have ever met. Anyway, not to embarrass her, we have Shelma. So welcome, Shelma.
Thank you for having me.
So, Shelma, we're going to get to know you a bit better now. I know I do know you, but we're going to delve a little bit deeper if that's okay.
That's fine.
So, Shelma, tell us, who you are and who your family life, things like that. Okay.
I'm Shelma, and I am getting old. I am wife to Perry. We've been married 29 years today.
Congratulations. Well done, Perry. And you.
Thank you.
Both of you. Yeah.
Yes, it snowed on our wedding day, apparently, in Devon. It didn't where we were, but it did in Devon. Yes, we have 3 children, although they're not children anymore. They're very grown up. Rodri is 24 and is doing civil engineering at university. He starts his job on the 1st of August.
Wow, amazing.
Exciting stuff. My daughter, Mavanwi, is 21.
Mavanwi.
Oh, yeah, good name, isn't it?
We could break into song, but we shan't.
We shan't, no, definitely not. She is doing, she's at Chichester and she's just finishing her course on acting for film. So watch this space.
That is exciting.
Oh, very. Yeah, absolutely. And then my baby, Bryn, is 18. Yeah, and he is at the local college and he's doing psychology, law and criminology.
Oh my. Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. So you've got a real mixture there, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
And can I say what a beautiful name Shelma is? But Shelma first started with us in the church how long ago?
About a year.
About a year ago. And the name Shelma's been called, and I mean this in a nice way, we had people were calling you Shalimar, Alamar, Shilamar. There's all variations of it. I think people are getting there now with your name.
I think so.
What are the origins of your name?
Well, it started off as a joke between my parents. Oh yes, the joke is on me. My dad always said that his firstborn would be called either, wait for it, Tiglath-Pileser or Shalmaneser. And if you know your Bible, they are both kings of ancient Assyria that are named in the Old Testament. And my mother said, not on your Nelly.
Oh.
And then I'm sure it was the hormones. When she was pregnant with me, she said, if we take the knees a bit off and just go with Shelma, that's quite nice for a little girl.
So it's so unusual because they made the name.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's beautiful. It's a sort of name that, once you get it right, it's a beautiful name. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever forgets you, right?
Either people can't remember the name at all,
right,
or else it sticks right away.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah, I think,
Teachers at school always remembered it, unfortunately.
I wonder why, yeah.
I was usually a mischief.
Now, where do you come from? Because you have a lilt of an accent there.
Yes, I am from Lancashire.
Ah.
My father was a Yorkshire
man.
But we forgave him. And my mother was from Liverpool, which, as she says, when she lived there was Lancashire. And they moved out before it turned to Merseyside. And I was born in Ormskirk, which is in southwest Lancashire.
I just say, on that note, my grandfather was from Lancashire and my grandmother was from Liverpool.
Ah, well, they were both Lancashire.
I thought we could be related. Now I believe it could be true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Because I have to say, Shelma, your accent is just lovely because there's so much energy with you and your accent. So that's why I love hearing you talk. We'll come on to that talking stuff in a minute. Okay. Right. So, busy family life. What about career? What did you do when you left school?
When I left school, I went to Manchester to train in nursing.
Okay.
And then once I'd finished my training, I did 2 years on a surgical ward, ear, nose and throat. I won't go into any gory details.
You're right, please.
And then I went and did midwifery. So I worked as a midwife for 5 years.
Gosh.
And then I met Perry. And he lived down here in Dorset. Mm-hmm. And one of us had to move. Manchester or Dorset? Which would you have chosen? Quite frankly, it wasn't
no
much
offense, Manchester, but we do have a lovely beach.
Absolutely. And also, slight advantage was that my in-laws had a granny annex that we could move in to immediately.
Wow.
And considering I married him 9 months to the day after I met him, we didn't have a lot of time to find a house.
That is so romantic.
I know.
Wow.
We
Oh,
met
that's
in
amazing.
Italy,
Did you?
in Venice. Yes.
You see, we were talking about Venice yesterday, Phoebe. Seriously?
Yes. On the coldest, wettest summer that they'd had in 40 years.
Lucky for some, though.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's a romantic place. Were you both on holiday there?
We were. We'd gone on the same holiday. It was an Oak Hall holiday.
Oh, I remember Oak Hall.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, fantastic.
So yes, we were on a coach trip. I am the world's worst traveller.
Oh.
But we were on a coach trip from England over to Italy, and then we toured down Italy.
Wow.
And
Exciting.
and he was on the same tour. Yeah.
So was it love at first sight?
Well, sort of. It was very quick, as you can imagine. But yeah, I made an impression because, well, I hadn't noticed him, but my friend and I, we got on the bus later than most other people, because a lot had got on when it set off in Kent. We got on at Ramsgate. And so we came on with our big hats and lots of extra baggage. And he said the Lancashire accents stood out because she was also from the north. Mm-hmm. And we sat in the front two seats because, as I say, I'm a really bad passenger.
Special seats. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So we sat in the front two seats, and I had been working night duty the night before. Well, sort of 24 hours before. Yeah. And so I was still semi-comatose, basically. And so everybody, it was a 24-hour journey over to Italy on the coach. And when it came to nighttime, everybody else was kind of like, couldn't get comfy. I was just like, oh. but I decided I wanted to get my chair in a comfy position. So I just slammed my chair backwards, not thinking. Well, I found the lever and it operated better than I expected, and shot backwards, throwing all the cassettes. That shows how long ago it was. All the cassettes he'd lined up neatly on his little table.
Oh, he was right behind you.
He was right behind me, throwing them all over him. And he went, "Hello?" And I went, "Oh, sorry," and shot the chair back up again. At which point, the couple of cassettes he'd managed to catch shot back off as well. So I made an impression.
Oh, it was like a rom-com, couldn't it?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Oh, how fantastic.
Yes, I didn't realise it was him. He told me that on the way back when we'd finished. I didn't realise he was the one who'd been sat behind me. I was so embarrassed I didn't dare look.
Oh, how lovely. So all that time ago, what a lovely, lovely meeting. Okay, so you did your nurse training and then moved down here and you got married to Perry. So where did you work down here?
I worked initially at Wimborne Hospital in theatres, and I was initially one of the staff nurses there, and then I became one of the theatre sisters.
Brilliant.
And then Rodri came along, and I decided that whilst I loved theatre nursing, I loved being a mum more. So I became a full-time mum.
Wow.
For quite a few years. And then obviously there's 6 years in total between the eldest and the youngest. And by the time the youngest went to school, it was quite a long time that I'd been out of nursing. So my registration had lapsed. So I then went and did nursery nursing for a little while.
Very brave.
Yeah, it was fun. And no, actually, I'd come to appreciate how kids just have a totally different take on life.
Right.
And there's something about the wonder that children see in things that is amazing. I mean, like a spider's web to you and me is kind of like, we need to get a mop down to get that out the way. When it's covered in dew, a kid is like, wow. And I love that sense of wonder that kids have. So anyway, I ended up working in the nursery for 3 years, I think, in total. And then Rodri had a head injury and basically couldn't go to school for about 9 months. Well, only very part-time. So I ended up leaving work to sort of juggle all the different things that were going on in life at the time. And just as I was sort of thinking I might go back to work, then my daughter developed separation anxiety and really severe anxiety. and a degree of PTSD. So I ended up then not working until 2020.
Right.
When in the February of 2020, before anything else happened,
Yes.
I had applied for a job back in theatres at the Harbour Hospital as an HCA, healthcare assistant. And they gave me the job, and then everything went into lockdown for 3 months.
Oh, no.
Well, or however long we were in lockdown.
Yeah.
So I actually started there in the July, and it was very weird because there were all these extra things that were in place.
I can't even imagine.
It was chaos. But I carried on as a healthcare assistant for a year, and then I decided I was actually missing the blood and guts and gore of being a scrub nurse. So I revalidated my training, and I've been scrubbing ever since, as they say.
Can you describe to us what a scrub nurse is, please?
If you are watching on the telly something like, I don't know, something with an operating theatre in it, you've got your surgeon, and then you've got the one that slaps the scalpel in his hand. Well, I'm the slapper that puts it in his hand. Maybe I shouldn't call myself a slapper, but you know.
I know what you mean. That's well described. So, but you have to be. I've spent a very small time in theatre in my nursing, but you have to be such an organised, calm person, because all those instruments, and you have to almost preempt what they need, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
So you obviously, you've got it together, Shelma. You've got it together to do that. You must be, well, I'm even more impressed by you now. Super calm in an emergency as well, because anything can happen, right?
Anything can happen.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, most of the time it's just normal and it works and it's not a problem. But yeah, every so often you get a
Why did
issue.
you prefer theatre nursing, just out of interest? What was your...
I honestly don't know, maybe it's the drills and the instruments that we use. I don't know, but when I was a student nurse, we had to do 2 months in theatre.
Yes.
And I'd been really nervous about it because on the telly it always looked so gory. And I was in an orthopaedic theatre, and drills and saws and the works, and don't listen, Phoebe.
Yes,
and and the second I walked through those doors, I was just like, oh wow, I love this. It's so exciting. And yeah, I just fell in love with theatres.
Isn't that great though? Because obviously, when you're nursing, as I obviously was a nurse, it's that sort of job would terrify me. But that's why I went into oncology. But it is horses for courses, isn't it? You know, you found your passion, and that's so important, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
So you're a theatre nurse up to date now, still. There's something else I believe has been going on in your life for the last few years. Quite a big life change. Would you like to explain what that might be?
Yes, I am what's called an ordinand at the moment, which is basically somebody who is training to be a priest.
Okay.
So I was quite happily pootling along as I'd just been made a church warden in my church.
Right.
Which wasn't St. Peter's, but I had just been made a church warden. And God clearly, I'm not a person who normally gets visions and messages and things. I'm not that kind of person. But I was sat in church and I had this really strange vision where it was like something out of a cartoon, where the cartoon character zooms to one place and then zooms back again. Yeah, it's just like that. And I had this sense of being where the vicar was, because she was just about to do the Eucharist. We were just in, and then I zoomed back into my seat. And it was a bit, wow, that was strange. And I heard God say, "That's what I'm calling you to." I was like, that's a bit peculiar. Maybe I'm eating too much strange stuff over
that dramatic calling.
I know.
That's incredible.
totally not what I
So you couldn't
expected.
really argue with that, I'm guessing.
No, not really. No.
Did you have to go and sort of absorb what happened? I mean,
I did. I went away and I was kind of like, have I eaten too much cheese?
yes.
Yeah,
Too much caffeine. Yeah.
I was like, look, God, am I really losing my marbles? Don't answer that question.
No.
If that was not just me having some strange aberration, then confirm it. Then show me that is what you want me to do.
Yeah.
And a few days later, I was busy just pootling away doing something, and Rodri was pootling away alongside me, and it was something like we were making tea or something like that. It's something really mundane and ordinary and everyday life. And he just sort of turned around and he went, do you know what, Mum? I think you'd make a really good vicar.
Oh,
what?
Completely out of the blue.
Totally out of the blue. And then he just carried on doing what he was doing. Oh. And I'm like, sorry, what was that? And he went, well, yeah, you would. And I was just like, okay, that sounded like it might be a confirmation.
Yeah.
But, I'm a bit backwards in coming forward, so I'd really like another one.
Clarification, please. Yes.
Anyway, several people said things very similar to that over the next very, very short space of time.
And that's without anyone knowing anything about your experience.
I hadn't told anybody about that at the time. So yes, it was very, very bizarre. Even one of the guys at church said, oh, before you know it, we'll have you as a vicar. And it's like,
little did he know.
Okay, fair enough. That's bizarre.
That's incredible.
It was really out of the blue.
Yeah.
And not being from a Church of England background originally, it was not something that would have ever been on my radar. No. It was very, very bizarre. Anyway, I was umming and ahhing about what to do about it, and I was at another service on the Sunday evening, and the preacher said, no, it wasn't the preacher, it was somebody else said, I really feel that I've got to say this. God is saying to somebody here, just do it, like the Nike advert. And you know when you kind of feel like you've been slapped around the face with a wet kipper because you've not paid attention properly?
Okay, and all of a sudden...
It was like, okay, I can take a hint. I can really take a hint.
Wow.
So the next day I rang up the vicar and I said, can I have a word? And having just recently been made church warden, she said, you're not going to back out as church warden, are you? No. Why? Oh, nothing. That's all right then.
Phew.
So I went to have a word with the vicar, and she went, yes, God's had you on a bit of a journey, hasn't he? I've noticed it over the last few weeks, the last few months. And I'm like, wow. You could have given me a heads up. That would have been really nice. But yeah, so that's why I started on the discernment
that was the start
process.
Of that. And so then you have to go through, obviously,
a discernment process.
Bit of a trek, isn't it?
Forever. Yeah,
interviews. And I mean, obviously, I can see why it's so important to have so many meetings with different people just to make sure, not you're up for you're up for the job sort of thing. Because, you and I both, well, I know because of Mike, it's, it can take everything you have and more,
Yeah.
But you obviously went through that process successfully.
It took 4 years. And COVID happened in the middle of it, which kind of put a bit of a...
timing, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then, so what happened with your, where to do your training?
Well, I suppose the only place I knew that trained vicars was Wareham College. And I only knew that because...
And that's near Salisbury?
That is in the Close in Salisbury.
Oh, right, yes, of course.
The view out of the study rooms is the cathedral.
Wow.
We are literally just...
This is the cathedral with a really nice cafe, right?
Oh, yeah.
I remember this now. Did they do cake there as well?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. I'm sidetracking
so
myself.
Does the college. The college does really nice cake. And the food is amazing.
Wow,
yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. But it's right in the Close, so you have to go through the little archways.
Oh, yes,
and then turn, and Sareham's just there.
Wow.
And a friend of mine had actually been to Sareham as a student, and then she's now ordained. And so it was the only place I actually knew. So when the bishop said to me, well, I'm glad to say that you have been recommended for
Wow.
ministry. Have you any idea where you're going to study? I went, maybe Sarah. He said, oh, that would be wonderful, yes.
Yes, fantastic. Were you in the diocese of Salisbury anyway?
Yes.
Your church was?
Yes.
Okay, right.
I was
So
living
that
in
did make
Poole.
sense
So,
then. Oh,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, okay, right. Okay. So when did you start your training?
2022.
Okay, and am I right? So you're doing your ordination training alongside working as a theatre nurse.
Yeah.
And obviously being a wife, mother, and everything else.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So
I do work part-time, not full-time. It's been quite full on and quite busy.
Okay.
What with one thing and another, there's been quite a lot going on.
And the studying, how have you got into the studying alongside everything else? Do you set aside time to study every night, or? Sorry, that sounds too sensible, doesn't it?
That was way too
all
sensible.
Of a sudden, I'll write an essay. You know,
I cannot study on days I'm working at the hospital.
Okay, so
I just get home and I'm like, ugh.
Well, it's so mentally draining, I imagine. So
and physically,
okay.
I stagger in the door and
put the kettle on.
I don't even get. And Bryn says, "Shall I make you a cup of tea, Mum?"
Oh, well done.
So study is not on those days. Definitely not. So on my days off, I try and do the study.
Okay.
So they're not really.
You get all vicary.
I get all vicary. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But we have a tutor. It's online learning. We have a tutorial online on Zoom once a week, most weeks. And then we have residential weekends, one for each module. So it works out about 6 in a year.
Okay.
Where we go up to Salisbury and stay at Sarum.
Oh, lovely.
And
live
in the close.
Lovely. Oh, how nice.
It's beautiful.
And is that really good, I guess, to get together with your other cohorts?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's brilliant. Yeah. And do you know what? One of the best things, Sarum College is a very wide intake. There's loads of different styles of churchmanship in the Church of England. Yeah. So some people are very easygoing and guitar-y and chilled, and some are more organ and more formal.
Okay.
And Sarum College has people right across the whole spectrum.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because some colleges are either this or that.
Yes, most theological colleges are either one end of the spectrum or the other. But Sarum isn't. I think that is the best thing about Sarum. I mean, there's lots of wonderful things about it. But the best thing about Sarum is the fact that you sit, when we're having your meals together, eating wonderful food. They do amazing food, which is why I've put so much weight on.
Hey, gorgeous. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
But the conversations you have over the table, it gives you such an understanding of where other people come from. Because I think that when you understand what makes other people tick, you might not agree with what they're saying, but at least you know why they're saying it.
Yes. And
you can then think about it and think, okay, does that work for me? Does it not work for me? And sometimes what they do, another person does, may not feel very comfortable or natural for you.
Okay.
But at least I understand now why they do it.
That's great, yeah.
And I think Sarum is relatively unique in the fact that we have the whole spectrum of the Church of England present. They actually do train ministers from other denominations. So there's Baptists and Methodists. Not so many. It's mainly for the Church of England. But because you have that wide range, you learn so much more. And in actual fact,
really interesting. I didn't realise it was like that there.
Yeah. And I think the fact that actually you learn more. Their teaching is brilliant, and you learn a lot. But I actually think you learn more by what you learn over the table, chatting to people,
mixing with your Yeah, they're
and
ordinance,
all the tutors join in with the meal times as well. So you'll be sat next to the principal one day and one of the tutors another day, and then there won't be anybody around on your table that particular the next day. But that again just adds to the mix.
So thinking about that then, Shelma, do you think you have changed through this process?
I think life generally changes you. I think everything happens for a reason. And I think if you are too inflexible and not willing to learn from what's going on in your life, you're the loser in the end. I think God puts us in any one situation for a reason. And some of that reason will be to teach us, to grow us a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so any new situation teaches you something that God wants you to learn.
Sure. Yeah.
And you might not realize what it is at the time. And sometimes it might hurt at the time, but then you are always richer at the end of it.
Okay.
And so, yes, I think being at Sarum has definitely been a huge learning curve. I've learned so much. Actually, I've learned so much being here at St. Peter's.
Yeah, so Shelma has been on placement here, haven't you? So in St. Peter's here in Poole for the last year.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to embarrass Shelma, but we don't want her to go, because obviously Shelma will be leaving soon. But Shelma's been on placement here, and literally you rolled your sleeves up the first day you came in, and metaphorically, and I think in practical terms as well. You really have got your teeth stuck in here, haven't you? Which we are delighted with. But obviously there's going to be a Shelma-shaped hole when she goes. So
that'll be a big one.
No. Thinking about your placement here, just very briefly, has there been anything here that you have enjoyed more than you thought, maybe?
I suppose I came to St. Peter's initially because it was so different from the church I'd been in.
Okay.
The church I'd been in had been very much more that sort of guitar-y, looser, more flexible.
Looser, yeah. Different churchmanship.
Yes, totally different. And St. Peter's is very much more the sort of the formal end of the spectrum.
On some days.
On some days, yes. Absolutely. Not breakfast church. No. Just saying. Yeah. But I actually chose to come here because I thought I'd learn a lot more.
Okay. And
I hadn't realised that I actually was a little bit prejudiced. Because I'd never had a dealings with what they call a high Anglican church, one that is that bit more formal. I expected it to be cold and
stuffy.
Yeah. And in actual fact, the second I walked in the door, I was just welcomed with open arms. And I hadn't realised that a church that looks so formal and has more formal service could actually be so warm and welcoming.
Oh, wow.
And really I've just had a ball. I've had a lovely time here. It's been absolutely amazing.
Well, that's lovely of you to say, actually.
Yes, I'm going to miss you all.
But that's because you have put so much in here. And I think, and I'm going to embarrass you again, Shelma's preaching. Watch out, Wareham you're going to, isn't it? Yeah. Watch out, because she's a real preacher. But Shelma preaches as yourself, which is naturally, because you obviously, I don't know, you're a very natural preacher. You are, because you're the way we've heard you preach. And so much of you just know it's you because you get the occasional, what did you say this morning? Something like, no, you said something, I can't remember what it was. And also, anyway, it was such a natural response, but it made it, I don't know, it's you. People know it's you. It seems genuine. Do you know what I mean? So I love Shelma preaching. Anyway, right. So in a few weeks' time, there's going to be a big ordination ceremony in Salisbury Cathedral. Lots of cathedrals, because lots of ordinations happen at this time of year. Absolutely. So your ordination is coming up, Shelma. Yeah. How are you feeling about that?
I'll tell you when I finish the last 2 essays.
Oh, really? So you're still getting your work in.
I've still got 2 essays to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I am excited. I am really looking forward to being in Wareham because it's just, I have to admit, living in Poole, we don't go to Wareham very often.
No.
So when I was told that they were probably going to place me somewhere close to where I lived, I assumed it would be somewhere in Poole.
Okay.
And then they gave me Wareham, which is only, I think, 8 miles away. It's only a very short distance. But it feels like the end of the world.
Yeah.
We don't go there very often. So when you're told that they think this might be a good fit for you, you are expected to go and meet the person who is already the vicar there and see if they feel you're the right person. And if you
together,
yes, if you feel they're the right place. And I was like, oh dear, I don't know. Lord, make it obvious, please. I'm feeling really nervous here.
Yeah.
So I went along to Wareham, and oh wow, I was just Neil took me around the 5 different churches.
Is he the vicar?
He's the vicar. He's going to be the rector.
Rector. Okay. What's his name?
Neil.
Neil. Okay.
So Neil took me around the 5 different churches, and we talked about sort of the different things that the benefice do. And by the time we got to the last church, which happened to be the Priory, rather posh, but by the time we got into the last church, I had such a sense of excitement bubbling up inside me.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I felt so nervous beforehand. This is not from me, this sense of excitement. Okay. I really feel excited.
God-given excitement.
Yes.
How cool is that?
So I know. It's just like, oh, wow, this is just amazing. So I'm very excited to be starting my
So you'll be a curate?
I will be a
curate.
Start
your curacy. And how long will the curacy be for?
Up to 4 years.
Wow. Gosh, okay.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So in a year's time, I will be ordained again.
Okay.
To be a priest. So this time it's called being a deacon.
Right.
And you kind of do some of the stuff, but not all of it.
Okay.
And then in a year's time, I'll be ordained again. And then I will be a priest. But I will still be a curate.
Okay.
Basically, it's like an apprenticeship.
Okay.
To being a vicar. And I will be still staying at Wareham. And then when you've sort of done 3 years curacy, then assuming you've achieved all the goals that you're supposed to achieve, you get signed off, and then you look for where
your permanent post.
Going to be in permanent post. And so you're allowed a 4-year curacy, and in that 4th year, you don't have to take all of that 4th year. That's to find where you're going to go.
Okay. So what are you looking forward to most about your curacy?
I think there's it's rural and it's urban. It's schools work and care home work.
Wow.
It's farming community, it's town. It's a bit of everything.
Ooh, wow.
And so
that's going to suit you, isn't it?
It is going to suit me,
because you're definitely all things to all people. I think you get right in there, Yeah,
I mean, I'm just so excited about there's just such a wide breadth of and they do food banks, they do all sorts of Forest Church and
Forest Church.
I know.
I want to come to Forest Church.
So there's lots and lots of different stuff. There's a wide range of different forms of liturgy. We have a breakfast church.
Okay.
They have BCP services.
Right.
They have common worship service.
So because there's 5 different churches within that group, within the group benefice, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Right.
So there's a whole everything all in that one benefice.
Exciting.
So
what's the church called in Wareham?
Well, there's
5, isn't
5
there?
churches. Yeah. So the big one in Wareham is the Priory of Lady St Mary.
Oh my, lovely. Okay.
And
I have to come and visit you.
I know, it's very posh. And then there's a really sort of modern looking church in Sandford.
Okay.
Which is actually part of the local school.
Oh.
The church and the school are actually the one building, which is very interesting.
Great, yeah.
And then there's the oldest church in Dorset is St Martin on the Wall, which is also in Wareham.
On the Wall?
Yeah. As you go into Wareham, there is a church literally in the part of the old walls. And that is, I'm told, over 1,000 years old.
Come
And if you
on.
go in there, there is an effigy of Lawrence of Arabia because that was his church.
What?
Yeah, so there.
I could definitely feel a trip coming on.
I know, absolutely.
Oh gosh,
And then we've got
history.
two other churches. One is at
So to bring all these things to a close, we could talk forever, I think,
Oh,
which would be
absolutely.
delightful. I did land a bit of a question on Shelma earlier on, which is the question I ask everybody coming on here. So, Shelma, what would you like your lasting legacy to be?
Well, no pressure.
No.
I think I would like people to be able to say of me that she loved her Lord and he shone through her to those around.
That's rather beautiful.
I think that's what I would like people to be able to say about me.
Well, can I say people already do say that about you?
You'll make me cry.
No, I'm sorry. And I honestly, and I mean it, Shelma, you do. Jesus shines through you, and it's obvious. It was obvious first time I met you, and I know that it's the same for Mike as well. And I just know that you are going to be an amazing priest.
Oh, thank you.
And I know that I just know you're going to be awesome, and you're going to look after your flock, and they're going to love you. They're so lucky to have you. And yet again, I'm so sad you're leaving us, but so grateful for this year we've had with you. And I'm sure our friendship can continue.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to say, right, ta-ra, then that's it then,
Oh, no. I'm like a bad penny. I'll keep coming back.
I love bad penny, so am I. But honestly, it's been so amazing. And thank you for, obviously, Shelma has been here since about 7:30 this morning, and it's now nearly 1:30. Shelma's been taking every service this morning and preaching, and very kindly agreed to this interview. Thank you so much, Shelma.
No problem.
I know that everyone's going to love watching you and learning so much about you and about what you're doing. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Please do subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. You click on the subscribe button, and then you can make the family grow, as they say. But thanks for joining us, and thank you, Shelma.
My pleasure.
All right, take
Always
care.
a pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.